we got to the point now where it's time to cash in. So the last thing I want to do is just share with you guys how we actually plant, utilizing again like these seed trays. So these seed trays you kind of can go purchase at we actually got this from a local nursery. And again, I like to use little 4-pack trays because it allows for me to plant just like different varieties of seeds without having to take up like a lot of space. Because again, we're in like most of our garden spaces are in a 4x8 raised bed. Most of the plants that we grow, you're probably only doing about 32 plants per 4x8 bed for this time of year. So you really don't need to plant like a lot of seeds. So again, that goes back to why we encourage more people starting seeds at home. So first thing you want to do is get your soil mixture. Let me just add a little bit more to kind of fill this one gap that I have. So you want to kind of like just pack your soil and stuff in, kind of like fill it up a little bit. But again, like I said, a lot of times when you get it from like the store, the soil you got is kind of dry. So we always encourage people to start with is to go ahead and just water the soil pretty thick. Let it kind of get like saturated, let it like sit down. Because you want your soil to be somewhat like a sponge. Always kind of kept like a sponge. It really helps out with the seed, the soil sort of contact that you're looking for. Then the next thing we like to tell people to do is pull up your seed pack. Most times on your seed pack, it's going to tell you the planting depth of your seed. So if you look at your seed pack, some of them might say planted like a 1/4 inch. Some of them might say planted like a 1/2 inch. Some of them might say planted a 1 inch. But utilize the planting depth as your indication of how deep you need to do your seeds. So for this one here, it says like a 1/2 inch. So we tell most times we work with kids, we pull out a ruler, tell them to kind of lay it by their fingers to see how deep that is. A lot of times it's to like the very first like fingertips. That's all about like a 1/2 inch is. So what you just go through, make a small little indentation. And so what that indentation is, that's where your seed is going to be planted. And again, you don't want to go like too deep because again, these seeds are very small. And a rule of thumb is no matter what seed that you get, you want to bury it double the diameter of that seed. Then the next thing I tell people to do is once you kind of figure out the variety of seed that you plant, you want to like label it. As much as you think you might remember what you planted, it's a lot easier when you can take a marker, a label, a tag, and just write it down and put it right in the space where you're going to plant it. So in this space here, we're going to plant what's called like a green boy cabbage. So again, you just write the name of it. Then you just write like the date. And the date is important because as we are building and teaching people, one of the things I'd encourage everybody to have is just like a garden journal. So then you just make sure you just kind of label, put that in space. Then you will take your seeds out. And one thing I always like to show with kids is like, look at the size of these seeds, right? So this is cabbage. When you think about cabbage when you eat it in the store, you really imagine it being this size. But this how it starts off. So again, our rule of thumb with seeds is to do 2 to 3 seeds per indentation. And then whatever extra seeds you have, put them back into your seed packet. That's why we encourage people not just to tear your seed packets up right away, because you can put them back in, store them in the refrigerator at your house, and then you have these to use for a couple more years. So then once you do that, where it's indentation at, just take a little bit of soil, just kind of cover it up. Then once we have that part done, we take our little pump sprayer. And this is what I use once I get my seeds going. This is how I water my plants, my seeds inside the house. Let's use like this pump action. It does like a little mist spray. And And I'm just basically always keeping the soil nice and moist, because with that initial watering, I already have like the sponge effect, but I just want to make sure there's that water piece that the plant needs in order to grow. So once I do all these trays up, I'm gonna do different varieties throughout the day. Then the last thing I'm gonna do is put underneath our grow light system, monitor it. The next like 4 to 5 weeks, they hit maturity. So in about 6 weeks, these plants that I'm doing today, cool season, we're ready to put into the ground. So this helps us advance forward and do what we have to do in order to grow food. But during that first phase of growth, I take this dome, the humidity dome, cap it right here on the top, and let it just sit there to create like a greenhouse effect, to keep the moisture in, to keep the soil moist, allow for the seeds to germinate and move to their very first true leaves. Once it hits their very first true leaves, I remove this, keep watering, then I fertilize it. But those are all things I'm gonna show you guys over the next like couple weeks through little reels and videos. So again, make sure you share with your family, your community. These are just some of the basic steps that we're recommending for you to start seeds for yourself. Again, at home, at your schools, in your basement, whatever it might be. So again, I'm Farmer Fredo. I'm checking in, checking out, and growing food is what I'm about.